We're recording, thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for your patience, for waiting. So today I'll be talking to you about how to enhance your web app observability with Datadog, and I'll be giving like on a live example of how we do it at Celonis. So the talk is supposed to be around 45 minutes long. So just to prepare you for the length, I will start with introducing myself and the topics. And I will talk about why monitor web applications overall and why do we care about monitoring web applications at Celonis. I'll talk about Datadog as an overview, how to use the, so at Celonis, we use Datadog for monitoring web applications and servers. So I'll talk a little bit about like the Datadog UI and what is possible inside of it. Next, I will talk about it. How do you go about adding Datadog into your systems, into your web apps, into your servers, so that you can get the full experience. I will talk about RUM, which is real user monitoring. Again, like an overview, what is possible, and I will show you using data from test environments on how that looks like, and then I'll give some examples of where we are using the monitoring. Okay, so a little bit of introduction. So as a disclaimer, we have the talk was geared towards external visitors, and all the data that I'll be showing, like in the screenshots, or will go to the Celonis Datadog instance. All the data will be coming from test environments. So just to outline that. So a little bit about me. I am a senior software engineer here at Celonis. I am a member of one front-end team. And overall, I have 10 plus years of experience working as a full stack software engineer. And I worked at Groupon, Apple, and now Celonis. And at all of those places, I found that I was valued a lot for being a person who cared about the observing the web applications. I was not only like the web developer, but also a person who worked a lot with SREs and was just like overall like interested in showing some data about how our web application works in production. And sorry, one more item that I didn't put on the screen. So why am I interested in data is because of my background. I have a PhD in molecular biophysics, not computer science, but biophysics. And my segue into computer science came from the fact that I did a lot of data analysis and programming during my PhD. And that's kind of how I ended up in this area, and super happy to be here. So the systems that I worked in for observing applications and big systems are Splunk, Datadog, and some custom build solutions at different companies that I worked at. So that's kind of my experience. Why do we care about observability of applications, web applications at Celonis? And here I wanted to, it's supposed to be a sales pitch kind of for those in the audience who would like to join Celonis Engineering. So I wanted to share like very briefly engineers' view of what we're building here at Celonis for our customers. Here I'm showing an example of one of the web views, like one of the pages of Celonis, and mind you, it's in the develop environment, in the test environment, where I'm showing that to our customers, we give them ability to see the large throws of data that they're collecting about their business, and Celonis is like a window into what is happening inside of their big, complicated machine of a business. So that's an example of a view. So you can see that we have to render a lot of graphs and tables, which is excellent. And here is another example. This is called Insight Explorer, where we use machine learning to kind of help customers to find new like what areas to look into in order to save money or improve productivity or what have you, but the tool can be used for that. We also have like other ways to give customers ability to look at their data. So this is example of Business Miner, another project that I worked on at Celonis. Just to give you an overview that the web apps which we're building at Celonis, they have to deal with a large data set, large data models that our customers have, and our customers are expecting that we can show them the view of what's happening with their data in almost real time. Like within a second, please render me a time chart or a process explorer showing me how my process works. And as an engineers, as web app developers here at Celonis, we care about basically delivering great experience for our customers. And so therefore, we need to monitor our applications. We want to know how are they behaving like for our customers. So to do that, we use Datadog. So I talked about that. I gave you a preview of like what is the web applications that we're working with looks like. Lots of graphs, charts. It has to show a lot of different data, talk to a lot of different backend systems, for this complicated systems that we have with a lot of microservices, we need to basically monitor how well all of those services are performing in unison per se. And for that, like we use Datadog. So key benefits of using like any kind of observability systems are early detection of issues. We want to know if there are any errors happening, like are customers experiencing slowness of loading some information, and we also want to see our like our product managers, for example, want to see, hey, we built this new feature. Do customers actually see it on screen as they're using it? So we need this information. Now on to just giving you a glimpse again, like in the test environment. I will show how we have at Celonis we use Datadog. So I'll just sorry. Okay. Okay, so now I'm switched to Celonis Datadog instance. Celonis purchases the services, the observability services from Datadog. And here I am showing the web app, our one front-end web app, that's internal name, but want to emphasize that I am filtering on the develop environment. So this is the data in Datadog about the develop environment. So the data, a little bit about the Datadog UI. In Datadog, you are able to not only look at your server logs and look at how well your services are performing, the backend services, but also link it to the performance on the front end. And here we're, so Datadog has a lot of different kind of bells and whistles, I call them, a lot of different features of how you can slice and dice information that comes from your various services. One of the features, they call it here digital experiences, and underneath it there is this real user monitoring, and we are in this explorer where I can write a Datadog specific query to look at the data from this test environment. And in this test environment, this is the data from our developers who are using the teams in develop environment, and from our QA and from our automation testing. Kind of, that's the data that you see here. Apologies. So we also so another part of Datadog UI are dashboards. So from all the swaths of data, we can build out like dashboards to look at, to zoom in. Again, here I'm pointing, like I'm showing you information from develop environment about a product which is called Insight Explorer, and this is like kind of the usage of this feature in develop environment. And you can see that here it's showing data only for develop, and it shows the three main countries where we have software engineers working on this product. So within last week, we have engineering offices in Germany, in United States, and in Spain, here in Madrid, Spain. So that's and I'll show more examples of that. Okay, so back to my talk. I wanted to talk next. Next topic is how do we integrate? How does one go about integrating Datadog? Like if you chose Datadog to be your solution to monitor your web apps and all of your backend services. So the way it works is that I showed you that when we look at the data in Datadog, we're looking at it through the Datadog servers. It's all the data that we are collecting always goes to that. They're kind of like a third-party provider for us. And they collect all of the information and then allow us to look at our data. So in order to integrate with them in the web app itself, we use an NPM package, which is called Datadog RAM. So it's included in every time users goes to use a Celonis web app. In their JavaScript bundles, they get the Datadog monitoring script that comes with it. And this script, like once we integrate it, it sends data to a specific endpoint, which is owned by the Datadog, the company, where we're constantly sending information about, and I'll talk about what type of information is being sent. And then on the server side, all the servers that we have, we also install a Datadog client. And the Datadog clients, they can work with Java servers, Python servers, Ruby servers, and they have like a long list of different backend services where you can again include a package for Datadog. What it does is takes all the logs that server is putting out and sends them over to, as opposed to datadoghq.com or whatever is the endpoint at Datadog. So once you invest into Datadog, so at Celonis we did invest into Datadog. We have it for both in both web apps and in all of our backend services. Then we get this benefit of looking at a user arriving at an application, user starts interacting with this application, and we can see the trace of all the requests that are done by the user. And actually, let's go into this example here. So what do we see in Datadog? So again, it's a develop environment. It's our developers looking at the data. So what does Datadog provide? It provides us ability to see individual sessions. So the user logs in and they go to one view, one location inside of our web apps. Then they go, for example, to user settings to update something. Then they go to apps. They go to Studio. So that's a single session, and we have Datadog allows us to record those. Then inside of each session, so you see that over the last week, we had around 6,000 different like sessions that happened. Somebody logged in and then logged out. Out of those 6,000 sessions, there was 1 million different views and locations that was visited by the users. So we can look at the individual views. And as a web developer, I am interested here, hey, which like route in the application is being used and hit, so I can get this information for my app. And then we can, Datadog allows us, it kind of comes out of the box, this type of monitoring of seeing what type of actions users are performing, and we can add our own, saying, hey, we want to know if users are using Studio Copilot or are they using other features. So that would be actions. We have errors. So again, this is a development environment, and a lot of these errors are coming from the consoles of the developers while they're developing. So in production, we don't have like as much, but I cannot share the production logs right now. So, but Datadog allows you to see the errors, the JavaScript errors and the network errors which are occurring, and then it allows us to fix those, like to find them, identify them, and fix them. Datadog allows you to look at how fast the resources are loading on the page. For example, we looked at one of the pages here. What is loaded here, all the JavaScript bundles that I needed in order to render this page, and all the API requests which are going out. Datadog records that for us, kind of like automatically, basically, because we have it. Very excellent. So we don't have any long tasks that were like recorded. What is a long task? It's something that takes a JavaScript process on the web page, which takes more than 50 milliseconds. That would be considered a long task. So that means that so Datadog in developed environment does not detect any of those. It can be indications that we're that great and we don't have any slowness in our application, or it can indicate that we're just, because it's a test developed environment, we're probably like not hitting the same the same cases as customers in production. But that's a feature that is available to us from Datadog, and we do use it in production to identify issues. Okay, how are we doing on time? So we talked about how like this was the part of talking about how we invested into Datadog. We are integrating it with all of our backend systems and our web apps, and we're able to collect information. So next part of my talk, I want to touch a little bit and walk you through like the 7 different like types of information for real user monitoring, RUM. Like this word is becoming like more and more trendy. Everybody wants to do RUM for their application. So what is RUM? It's real user monitoring. Here in Datadog, I was showing you that this is the RUM section in the Datadog web app, and what it allows us to collect is the information about the web app itself. So let's go through my slide. So what type of information does Datadog collect for us as real user monitoring? In Datadog instances, we can find like how fast the page is loading, like the first contentful paint. We can look at the information when user arrives to the login page, how fast can we render it in various locales or in various like server deployments that we have, like core vitals of the app, like how fast different rendering cycles are happening on the page. So how fast and how many do we have of different resources which we're loading on the page? So it all comes from Datadog. So user interactions. So I showed you that we can have a detailed view about how many different sessions that occur in single user logged in and they're performing different things. We can look at the actions that user is performing. And of course, like with permission from the user and from our customers, we have error tracking. We can, Datadog for free gives us JavaScript errors which are occurring and network errors. And actually, let's look at one of those as an example of errors, just to see what kind of the UI gives you. So this stack is actually not very interesting. There is more interesting ones because we are integrated with Datadog such that we can show the Datadog has access to our maps, code maps, and when an error occurs, it can actually show us in which part of our code this error came from in de-minified like code version. So it helps us. So this example is something in develop environment again, but it allows us to our engineers to quickly find like, okay, so we see this new error popping up, and because we have like maps of our code in Datadog, we're able to see the exact location and fix it relatively quickly. So that's about like the JavaScript errors that are happening. Same goes for our network errors. Let's say a server returns status 500, and we have the same way ability to look at the server logs and to find the exact line in server code which threw an error. And if I have time, like I will circle back to that. So another part of RUM that Datadog kind of gives us for free is geolocation of our users and information about their environment, browsers and devices. So here with one of the dashboards, we saw that I was showing you information about the use of a specific feature in our web app. It tells me which environment it's coming from, but it geolocated those users to these 3 countries where we have engineering offices. And I can also we can also create like queries to find like what type of devices users used. Are they on a Windows system or on Mac OS? And and knowing this information, what type of devices are users using, our customers are using to look at to use the Celonis web app, allows our QA folks to know what type of environments like they should be testing in, like so it's so Datadog gives us this observability, like our users on the mobile devices or on like desktop devices. Okay, so other things that Datadog RUM, real user monitoring, gives us is performance of the API calls. It records, okay, so here you requested graphical data for this chart. like how long did this compute request took, like 1 second or sub 1 second. We try to have like some SLOs, service level objectives and benchmarks. So we try to be under 1 second, and if it goes over 1 second, then we start looking into it, like what happened, what's wrong, and start using traces. So very frequently, a request would arrive at one backend service, and this backend service has to fan out and call a couple of other different backend services to produce a response for the web client. So we can trace that, because every single backend service at Celonis has Datadog monitoring. So we can trace a single request from the web client and how it propagates to all the backend services. And we can, and lastly, the very last thing that Datadog RAM allows us to do is to use custom attributes. So anytime Datadog client inside of the web app, when it sends the information to Datadog, we have ability to add additional properties into that request. We can add, for example, which feature flags are turned on or not, and some tracing information that we need. Hey, how big, like if the requests are very slow, like we want to know, hey, how big is the data model, for example, for this customer? So we can augment our monitoring with this information to help us identify, like, is the reason why for this customer's UI is slow, is it something with the UI, or is it this customer has like a very large like data model or something else that is specific to this customer? So it helps us to identify issues. So that's Datadog RAM. And just very briefly, because we have a lot of internal folks who are on the call, so I wanted to mention that for one front-end application, we do have, so we're using Angular to build all of our web applications, and we have a service which we call activity tracking service, which is available to any web application inside of our unified like one front end. And why do we have that? Why don't we just send data to Datadog and be done with it? Well, the reason is that at Celonis, we use Celonis to track ourselves and to see how well we're performing. So while we we use Datadog to help our engineers to hone and make the web applications and our services as great as possible, we want to give our product managers ability to look and at the data, like how our customers using Celonis web apps. So this Angular service that I was talking about, it not only sends data to Datadog to help engineering teams, but it also sends data to Celonis internal systems so that our product managers can look into how well the different features, the different applications are used, and so on. So yeah. So now on to some examples. And here I have a couple of pages prepared where I opened Datadog on and filtered it to develop environments, to test environments. So we went through this page where we looked at the RAM section of Datadog web app, and we use it kind of like on a daily basis to find out like how well our applications are working. But we also have dashboards. So Datadog has ability for you to create dashboards. What is the most interesting like information that you want to look like once a week, once a day at your application. So we have a lot of dashboards, and I'm intentionally not clicking into that area because it will show some sort of production data. So I don't want to do that. I want to avoid that to safeguard the data of our customers. So here I'm looking at another a feature in Datadog. So here we're looking at this section called APM. It's called Application Monitoring. This is a section for all of our backend systems. We can see the logs from our backend systems in this application monitoring. We have a service catalog with hundreds of different backend services, so I'm not clicking on that, but here I'm showing an example of one service which is called Business Miner. It's a backend service filtered to the develop environment, so this is a dashboard created by Datadog, like out of the box, just because we said, hey, Datadog, we have like this new backend service, and it already creates, we don't have to, as an engineers who work on the back end, we don't want to spend too much time creating dashboards, like for our service. So there is dashboards which are created like automatically in Datadog. And one interesting fact that I wanted to show, so we did have like a deployment in the last 24 hours. We're moving away. Let's look at the 2 days, and here, so it shows me that there were like different versions of the service. So if I am a backend developer working on this, I'm like, okay, so which version do I have right now, deployed in that develop environment? And so users can see a lot of information here, like engineers. As engineers, we can also see like all the API endpoints which are available on this service. Again, this is all created like automatically by Datadog because it collects all the server logs from this particular service. And like as a developer, like I can click on this one and what can I wanted to show you the trace actually. So let's say so it's an endpoint which on this service which has some sort of API/layer/extension. In this row, we saw the aggregated information about all the different requests that were done over a specific period of time and like how long did it take. It also gives you access to look at every at the individual request. So if I were to click at that specific individual request, I can look at the trace. And here I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the beauty of traces for backend services and how we're using them to optimize performance of our web applications who send API requests to our backend services. So here it shows that this particular request took 500 milliseconds. We can see like where it spends the most of the time. It actually created additional GET requests to other services. So you can, as an engineer, you can drill into those. And if you see some sort of slowness, for example, some of the examples, the classic examples of slow API responses when your API endpoint needs to contact multiple services. And the classic example is that this contacting of different additional services is done in sequence. So you make a request to one, wait for a response, and make a request to the other one, and then make a request to the next one. And this would happen if you wrote your, like, hey, make these requests, and you just added a loop in the loop. So it goes through one iteration to the loop, makes request to one service and the next one. And that's actually a slowness. And For example, as an engineer, you know, hey, we can make all those requests in parallel at the same time. So having the access to these traces will allow you to see like the issues, like, hey, you have this issue where instead of in sequence making those like compute calls, for example, you can make them at the same time and switch it to parallel, and then you can reduce the times that this API request takes from 500 milliseconds to 300. So that's kind of how we would use these traces. Also, sometimes we would use these traces. Let's say the response was not 200 okay, like in this case, but response was 500, or yeah, so let's say response was 500. And then we can see that like why was it 500, that it started processing, you know, it got to this function, this method, made this API call to another internal surface, and then it died because some database was like busy or unavailable, or some other service was unavailable. So it allows us to kind of like very quickly to look through the trace of what is the different calls that are being made, and identifies the issue, fix them, and calls that team and tells them that they're bad people. No, we actually have like very great engineering team, and yes. Okay, so that's on traces. So what else Datadog gives you is gives us as an engineers. After we released the feature, we gave it to all of our customers. It has some web app component. It has some backend services that are associated with it. We want to monitor like the service, like how well is it performing? Is it on or off? Are there any issues? So Datadog has this section called monitors. So we can set up a monitor like with specific thresholds. For example, we don't want our errors to go like over a specific threshold, or no errors at all. And if you start having errors over a period of 5 minutes, then fires and missiles, like call every single pager or whatever. Here we actually integrate with Slack and other like notification systems for our SREs. Yeah, so somebody will respond like to this monitor right away. And I just wanted to point out that Datadog has this ability. It seems like every single system that is out there for observability has this feature, but that's how the one in Datadog looks like. Yeah, so with that, I wanted to mention, so I showed you, so for example, some of our web applications, and that they're very complex. They're loading a lot of data, and users start interacting with them. And we want to know for specific use cases. Let's say there is a business analyst who is creating dashboards in Celonis or views, let's say, and we want to know how quickly they can go and edit a specific like items on the page. So we would we are right now like implementing custom monitoring for how long did it take for this activity. Hey, user asked to open this model with SQL editor. So how long did that take? And we want to monitor it and have like a Datadog monitor that will page the engineering team if it takes longer than 2 seconds, or for example. That's the standards that we take ourselves to. Our like engineering infrastructure allows for building of such like monitoring. Yes, so just to point on that we are adding custom like metrics that we're collecting about the web app application, so that we can like maintain the high quality of our product. We are also working just with to observability and performance of the web apps, we're also working on unit tests that would allow us to catch any issues. Let's say if there is like a piece of code that slows down the opening of the PQL model, we want to know it before it reaches production. Somebody in the one of our customers like uses it and experiences the slowness, and then we know about it. So we want to know even before that. So we do have like unit tests that allow us to catch specific cases, but of course the product is so alive. We constantly add new features, new functionalities. So usually we write those tests, which we call performance unit tests, only after we kind of got a complaint from a customer, but we want to change that and instill an engineering culture of and culture for product managers to provide this information about the SLO. What should be our response? How long should it take to open this model? You know, product manager will be telling engineering team, hey, I think it should take like no more than 5 seconds, please. And engineering team, then it opens up a conversation, because engineering team can say, hey, there's a whole bunch of like backend calls that we can need to make, a query to the database, what have you. And actually this will be like a very long action that it will take. And then because this conversation is happening about how long will it take, then UX will be involved, where there may be for certain like long tasks, we will put some sort of message to the user saying, hey, we're working on it. And it kind of like elevates the product, and it touches everybody who is involved in developing of the new features, and gives them ability to kind of influence how the product works. Okay, and I think with that, it's the end of my presentation. We are at 40 minutes, so it's wasn't that long. Yeah, so this is the end, and any questions at this time? And Alex, maybe you'll help me, like if there's any questions in.
So I have one for myself, well, a couple actually. So we have run to check what the users are doing or how they use our application, right? We can see how they move and this kind of stuff.
Yes.
So does Datadog have something related to accessibility, for example, in that way?
Excellent question. I don't know that it does. Yeah. Okay. I have not seen examples where somebody will use Datadog to figure out like how accessible. We have there's other tools out there, but it would be nice actually. That's an excellent idea. Can we see like in Datadog that something was accessible and now it's inaccessible? Yeah.
And I didn't see.
I believe the answer is no. Datadog doesn't have anything right now, but yeah.
We can investigate. And I didn't see anything in Datadog related to artificial intelligence. Do you know if they have any tool to suggest performance improvements? Or...
yeah, and interesting questions. They do.
It's the trending topic.
Yeah, so here they have like LLM observability section. I don't know much about it, but you can look about it. But for example, if you were to go and look at the error tracking and then let's add that. So it does have this kind of suggestions for you, and it figures out, hey, this like error has been happening like for a while or not. They actually look at all the errors that we have, and I want to click away from the screen, but they use like not LLM per se, but yeah, some sort of machine learning, and they had it for a while before the craze of LLMs came in. Before the ChatGPT, they have this suggestion, what is the different error types that you have in your system. Yeah, so they can pick up that and then tell you when the new one comes in, like over a specific period. And we have actually, for some of our services, we do have monitors which are saying, hey, a new type of error has been detected that has never been there before, but we just set up a monitor saying, hey, tell me about the new errors. And I believe under the covers it uses machine learning algorithm to figure out that this is a new type of error for your service. Yeah.
I have a question from Aitor. So from a front-end point of view, what are the main sections, menu options to look at in Datadog? So what's a front-end guy using Datadog?
The front. So we do have a dashboard. Which is called One Front-End Overview, and which is like a super large dashboard. And let's click away from prod to dev and okay, so dev. So we want to filter on dev environment. So as a front-end engineer, so there's like a lot of information that you can find out of it, but the difficulty with Datadog is that you need to know a lot about it in order to find something that is useful to you. So I would recommend reaching out the One Front-End team. We are working on a set of talks on how to enable every developer to use it, but I would say the first stop would be go to this dashboard. It is a Swiss knife with 100 different implements. This is a huge dashboard with a lot of different information right now sorted to develop environments. And I want to point out that here you can switch your application and try and find that. But yeah, and also if you have specific questions about how do I find in Datadog this about my application, so do come to One Front-End Slack channel and we'll help you there. And we also have One Front-End tracking channel where we talk about the custom tracking events, so we can help you there as well. Any other questions or? Oh, yeah.
I have a question about custom monitoring and custom events, for example. Do they need any kind of configuration on the Datadog side, or it's pure client development?
Pure client development. So you as a developer, all you need to provide for those custom events, the name of the custom event so that you can find it in Datadog, and whatever context you want to send with it. Hey, user opens this model and it took, in the context, you can provide information about, and their data model size is blah, and they also had this items opened on the page, so you can modify the contents.
And some value, for example, the number of tabs opened.
Yes, number of tabs, or user is Celonis. I really want to know that it's internal user, or
and how it then can be searchable with the Datadog? It's by some custom tag?
Yes. So then you would go to, okay, so let's go to digital experience. So you would go, so Explorer, always start with Explorer, environment develop, and so that's for One Front-End, with for one last day. Well, let's do a week so that it's a little bit more data. So the sine wave of our developers using it at night. They do work at night, so yes, there's some traffic on the weekend. It's almost dead. But yes, so I would start here. Then you can modify this query to find your particular application. Actually, under actions, that's where the custom actions would be. And then you can perfect your query here, saying, hey, I'm looking for my particular event. So here's this, every event, custom event will have some sort of a name associated with it, and you can write a query here for I'm looking for this action, and this action where context is user has 10 tabs, or more than 10 tabs open, and I want to see this information. So yeah, so it will happen here. I would admit that it's not easy to write these Datadog queries on what you need to do. You need to kind of develop like a muscle of, so that's one of the drawbacks or minuses of Datadogs. Yes, like it can do a lot, but you need to know like its query language, how to write the queries. So for now, my answer would be, please come to the One Frontend Slack and we'll help you there.
But do you have any tip to find the values for those queries? Because I have to say this way. I mean, if they are on the sidebar on the left, more or less you can find the values. Sometimes what I do is I click on the event and take the tree of properties and use them from there. But not all of the stuff is that tree. But sometimes not everything is there. So to me, it's kind of tricky to find the values for the query.
Yeah. Very excellent comment. I'm actually going to take this as an action item. So that's what we're missing on One Frontend. We did give you the activity tracking framework that can send internal and to Datadog, but we never enabled you as developers on how to use the information that is produced by them. So we will follow up with trainings and very short guides, like, hey, I added this new tracking activity. How can I find it now in Datadog? So we need to give users this, like something very succinct for this most frequently asked questions. And we will be adding that. Yeah. Because as you know, there is a developer survey that we run every 6 months, and we want to know how happy you are with our service.
True.
But yeah, like it has to be. So for develop environment, under actions, you write down a query. Here is my event, and events can happen with success or with an error. And then I want to like figure out like how long did it take, like get the Gaussian distribution of it, or other things. Yeah.
And I suppose this functionality is not limited only to the front end, to the ROM, but also in the back end, it is able to create
yes, in the backend, like if you go to this APM application monitoring section, so then Datadog allows you to look through your logs and, hey, show me all the errors for my backend service, show me like the successes, and also in your backend service, you can add custom monitoring events.
Yeah, that's I referred to.
Yeah.
I want to expose a number of I don't know, internal value.
Yes. Well, there is a lot of information that comes for free because you install the Datadog agent on your server. So it will look through all your logs and pick out the errors, successes, the latencies. You'll get all of that. But for example, you want to know, here is like a controller, and I want to know like how many, like on average, different compute requests are being, fired in parallel in order to accomplish it. Like on average, I want to know. So you can put the specific Datadog logger in your code for your server, saying report a custom like metric or something like, and then you can find it in your application logs. And again, so with Datadog, your data is not stored there forever. It's 30 days. So here they have like 2 weeks, but our the subscription to Datadog that we have, it allows us to look 30 days past, and then everything that is older than 30 days is being destroyed and deleted. It's also to kind of help us and to protect us from not storing too much information about our users, like too far in time.
So everything related to backend is in APM, and then we click Trace Explorer or just APM?
APM.
And now we go to the main site. Okay. Digital experience is RAM. right? Because I always have issues finding
Yes,
this stuff.
they renamed it. It used to be called Round, but now they renamed it to Digital Experience, I guess, because they have like different like session replays here. So logs is another one. Logs is every single log, web app or server, it's all in one place. So if you are looking for something, you can go here and you are not sure like what you're looking for, kind of, so you can start like putting in, hey, like Business Miner is the name of the product, and it will pull up, hey, there is some web app events which are for Business Miner, and there is some a service called Business Miner. Here is some information for you, so you can, if you can start like a very wide search using logs. And then for anything specific to backend, it's APMs. They have their own like set of features. And
so for someone trying to resolve an issue, logs should be the first place to go.
Can
or
be,
trying to discover issues on there.
Yeah, discover issues. Yeah, you can go to logs. Okay.
I have a question. I don't know if you can
Yes,
hear
we
me.
can hear you. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I have a quick question. Well, first of all, thank you, Olena, for this talk. It was very interesting for me and useful. And I don't know if there is already something in Celonis, but do you know, is there a way to automate notifications to Slack, for example, to let us know when there is a critical error or whatever
Yes,
related with us?
absolutely. Yes. So the monitors which you set up, they can go and you can set them up to send messages to Slack. So that's integration, like you just you need to know the name of your Slack channel, right? And you can set it up and set it to Slack. We do have well, I'm not going to open our Slack, but for example, you can look for Business Miner server releases, a Slack channel, and you can see examples of we're sending messages from our GitHub actions. Hey, somebody deployed to staging environment. Hey, somebody developed to deployed to production environment. Or we have some errors like memory issues or some sort of pod is down. So all those errors, they're coming through. And and we have like team members who are kind of like on call duty, and their job is to monitor that Slack channel for a week. We go for weekly schedules, and they deal with that,
Okay. I'll check it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So Slack notifications you can send from like GitHub for any actions that you're performing, and from Datadog also can send messages to Slack, and can send emails to you. We have an email and Slack message actually to everybody on your team.
And do you find useful to have Datadog notifications for a front-end team?
Yes, absolutely. So we have, for example, Business Miner is a service that has been in general availability for over a year. And we can look through our Slack channel to see like every single deployment, because we have those notifications, and then notifications from Datadog about like issues that were happening over time. And like most of the time we're actually quite stable, so the channel is not very like used for errors, but so, and on front-end team we have a channel as well where we're notified about the issues with the EMS itself. So it is super useful. SREs, they have their own channel with their integration.
Okay. Perfect.
I guess we'll give a talk on that, or like how to perform this interaction, like the best practices on how to integrate from various systems to Slack, or
And where do you start the configuration, from Slack or from Datadog?
From Slack. So first you need to create your channel, your app, like the ID on of your channel where the messages will be sent, and then once in Datadog, so you set up, for example, this monitor, and let's see where is. I'm trying to find. So sorry. Somewhere here you can like you configure, you give the ID of a Slack channel, like the like UUID, how to contact the Slack API with the message.
It's a webhook URL.
Yeah, webhook, yeah. Mm-hmm. Low power.
So you use other tools in the past, or you said at the beginning. So do you see any reason to use Datadog? So is Datadog better than others, or has something different?
So we invested heavily at Celonis into Datadog, right? Like because it's in all of our services. We can switch to, let's say, some different provider, but it's what's good about Datadog, like observability into our servers, like we have like long history of using it, and historically we just invested into it. It depends on my personal preference so far is that I like Slack because I used it the longest out of like my professional work. Datadog here with Celonis I've been for 2 years, so using it for 2 years. So now I learned to love it and like it because I make dashboards for other people, and I enjoy that they're saying, "Oh, Olena, thank you, you made this thing for us," and stuff. So now, but there was a steep learning curve, how to use it like best. But it is quite powerful.
Any more questions from someone in Zoom? I see 14 people.
I think
someone here, guys.
Yes. Questions. So thank you everybody for coming, and I think we're done, and we'll do more sessions like this in the future. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Olena.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Olena.
Tienes para stop recording.